Welcome to Suzanne's studio. I'm Suzanne Barnett, your host, and tonight I am so pleased to introduce Sandi Ryan, who I have known for years as a very, very interesting, talented, wonderful person. It's true. And Sandi is manager of activities at the Forum in Cupertino. So, Sandi, let us meet you.
Hi, Suzanne.
Okay, you have been at the Forum for 14 years.
18.
18 years.
18.
Okay, so in two different activities.
Correct.
So the first was food and beverage.
Food and beverage director.
And now?
Program manager.
Yeah.
And transportation manager.
And transportation.
Yes.
So what is it? What I wanted to tell the audience, our viewers, is that after 40 years in the business, that it's like every day is a new day for you, that you have this vitality and enthusiasm. So how did that happen?
I blame that on my mom, but I think my mom instilled that in me.
Yeah.
And I've always been energetic. I've always loved people. And with 41 years now with the company, and 18 years of that is at the Forum, and it's a learning experience every day. Something changes every day that I'm at the Forum. Every day of my life, something new is added to my life, and I just critique it the best I can and deal with it the best I can, be it good or bad, and I learn from it and keep going and keep smiling.
But the thing is that I don't know anybody who's had a career for 40 years that still is like you, and I think that that's why I particularly wanted to interview you. I interviewed you, what, about 8 years ago?
I'd say about 8 years ago.
And I had a devil of a time getting you back. I mean, you're so great, but you're so modest also.
Oh, thank you.
So how did the career begin?
Started out with long time ago out of college. I went to the University of Maryland, and when I graduated, somebody said, because I also worked in the food service at the University of Maryland also, and they said, Sandi, you're going to kill yourself if you don't get out of this business. So I knew a friend that knew a friend at Marriott at the time, and got an interview and got hired, and ended up at one of the leisure night life. I'm thinking of our leisure night at work, Leisure World in Silver Spring, Maryland, and that's where I started with 41 years ago, and just as a dining room manager, and then from there things led to other things, and ended up at Camelback Inn for most of my career, and Mountain Shadows, and then now I was in Southern California for 2 years, and then they went through a downsizing, so they hired me back at Mountain Shadows, same position, so I got really lucky there, and then they decided to close the doors at Mountain Shadows and tear it down and build condos, and that's how I became the food and beverage director at the Forum. And that was 18 years ago.
Well, let's go back to the Marriott, because, tell about Mr. and Mrs. Marriott.
Well, Mr., Mrs., and Mr. Marriott, they lived 3 months out of the year at Camelback Inn. That they, even in one of their big books, they wrote that Camelback Inn was their most favorite property. And so they had their own house, swimming pool, the whole works. And then Marriott Jr. also had a house there, but he didn't stay there as long as Mr. Marriott did. And I just got very connected to them, and we just hit it off from the day one. And I kind of became their to-go-to person, especially if Marriott's didn't like the general manager, they would go through me for everything. So the 3 months that they were there, I could barely take a day off, and I had to meet with him almost every day, and we go over, what's working, what's not working, and then all the bosses would be waiting for me to tell them what they needed to do better. And wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. He would never, when I was in the main dining room, the chaparral room, here he owned all the Marriotts, but he stood in line just like all the other residents.
Really?
Or the guests that were having dinner. It was really fantastic because he didn't push his power around at all, and so it was just wonderful. He spoiled me.
How do you do that?
Well, we had this huge buffet outside, and sat like 350 people for meals, mostly breakfast and lunch. And he'd come up to me and say, "Sandy, what do you need down here?" And I said, "Well, I really need some new chafing dishes." And so the next day I had new chafing dishes, and the green turf that they always had on the ground. That's so because the pool was right in the middle of this big buffet. That green turf was changed down, I swear, every month. Where normally when he's not there on property, it's changed down every year. But when he's there, we had that green turf changed down almost every month. It was just amazing. And so I was a little spoiled, but then what I had to do as far as, meeting with him every day, making sure everything was right, making sure that his wife was happy. If we changed uniforms for our servers, I had to take the servers to their house, and she had to approve all of their uniforms. If we changed the menu, he had to approve of all the menus before they changed them. When he wasn't there, it wasn't a problem, but while he was there those 3 months, everybody just did whatever he wanted to do.
Was he a self-made man, would you say?
Yes, he started out at a root beer stand. That's how Marriott got started, was a root beer stand.
Oh, really?
Yes, and then it just developed into the hotels that it was.
Are they still alive?
No, they both have passed, but Junior is still alive.
Is he a good manager?
He's a really good person, but I miss Senior. Senior was just down to earth, and he always said people come first. And it's you take care of your team members, and they'll take care of the guest, and that's what we did.
And tell about when you were the chef.
Oh,
tell that story.
That's almost scary to talk about.
Yeah.
But when I was at Camelback Inn, they asked me to be food and beverage director at the Suites Hotel in Scottsdale, Arizona. So I said, sure, good experience. So I went there, and the chef, they wanted me to cross-train in the kitchen so I would know everything about the kitchen. And the chef went to a conference and ended up not coming back. So instead of hiring a chef, they asked me if I wanted to be the chef to learn, the experience. And I said, sure, I'll do that, not knowing a thing about cooking. And so I cooked. I could cook breakfast for 300 people with no problem. I'd have my whole skillet or grill of scrambled eggs and bacon, and I could be right next to the next cook. Dinner was a different story.
What was that like?
Because dinner, if it wasn't for my people that were there, my leads and those type, I would never survived because they knew what they were doing, and I learned from them. And my picture was on the front page of the Scottsdale newspaper with my chef's hat on. And it helped me get my job at the Forum because I had to, in order to be promoted, you have to have so many leadership jobs. And because I was a chef for a year and a half, that counted, and that helped me get my job at the Forum.
Do you cook today?
No, not at all.
So that experience didn't
not at all.
inspire you?
Breakfast, yes.
Yeah.
I could cook breakfast, but don't tell me to cook lunch or dinner.
No,
and I'm a terrible eater, so it's really good that I don't cook.
So let me ask you.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell the story of how you got to my beloved Forum.
Okay, well, that, like I said, 18 years ago, and I was at Mountain Shadows when it was about ready to close its doors. And I had to find a job. And so I was looking on the postings, and I saw this place, and I went to the human resource manager. My boss at the time was on vacation. So I went to the human resource director, and I said, what is senior living? You know, where is that, and where's Cupertino? What's Cupertino? And thank goodness my sister lived in Southern California at the time. So I called her, and she said, oh, Cupertino, oh my gosh, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. If you can do it, you won't be that far away from us. And so I said, okay. So I called and had a phone interview. At that time, Lynn Darst was our general manager, and I had a phone interview with her as well. And then the regional lady, I had an interview. And so they flew me out, and it was raining. That was the year we had the most rain ever, and I got a rental car, got lost, and finally made it to the Forum. And after I interviewed with everybody, and we had lunch with the whole gang. And at the end of the day, she offered me the job, and I'm like, wow, you know, this is really kind of exciting. And so I asked if I could go home. You know, my mom was still living at the time, and I wanted to talk to my family, and I did. And then I called her back, and I said I accepted it. And then later on, she told me that she looked out the window, and they had interviewed several food and beverage directors. And she said, when I got out of the car, she says, that's our new food and beverage director. I don't know how she knew, but
see,
I love her ever since.
You exude all that.
And we still are, you know, we still see each other all the time, and we go out to lunch and dinner, and so Lynn and I are still very close to this day. So
whatever happened to her?
She is retired and lives in Santa Rosa.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I just talked to her this morning.
Okay.
And some residents remember her when she was there. Wonderful lady.
Well, you know, it's so interesting, Sandy, because every time I have a guest from the Forum, I mean, it's my absolute, I don't even have to go anywhere, but I do sometimes, but there's so much talent, you know, with the residents. That place is so magical. It always sounds like this is a commercial for the Forum. But getting back to your personality, I just think what I envisioned really talking to you about was that you've been on your own since you were, practically a teenager.
Long time.
And then you got married. And then tell about that.
10 years. I was married for 10 years.
Yeah.
And the first year into our marriage, we were thinking about splitting up. And we get a phone call that he was previously married and had his the mother of his kids walked down on 5 kids. And so 2 of them were his, of course, and the other 3, they called their dad, who was in the service, and he came back to take care of them. And they said either the 2 girls come to us or they go to foster home. And so, of course, we said yes, we'd take them. So I was an instant mother of 2 teenage daughters.
What was
12
that?
and 13.
Oh, God. What was that like?
Pretty scary at the beginning. It was pretty scary.
But they turned out beautifully.
They turned out beautifully, and then after they graduated, we all went our separate ways. And I don't talk to them, or we one went back to where their mother was. The other one is still in Arizona. If we met on the sidewalk today, they'd say, "Mom," But
Yeah.
we just kind of went our separate ways, and it was a good thing.
So again, you were alone, independent woman, and so now we're back at the forum.
Yep.
So what do you like about the forum?
Oh, of course.
I mean, emotionally.
And emotionally, the
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
And seeing all the changes day in and day out, and the talent from our management team. It blows me away. And I've been seeing it for 18 years and how it's developed, and it's only gotten better. And I know a lot of people say that it's the people that makes the difference, but it's also the team members.
Of course.
And I try in my business for the 41 years, I always had a policy not to get super, super close to any one person, because you don't want your heart to get broken when they're not here any longer, or if they move away. So I really try to be even to everybody, and what I do for one, I do for all. And it's really helped me grow, I think. And I even had people tell me that when I worked for Marriott, it's like, you treat everybody the same. And I said, well, you almost have to, because otherwise you're going to get in trouble if you don't.
Well, that's a pretty good recipe, isn't it?
It is. It's sometimes it's a little hard, because I do have my favorites, not like you, but I do have my, but I try not to get emotionally really connected to any one person.
Yeah.
Just for that reason.
Do you find it, this is such a loaded question, but I would think, and I being an older person, that it would be so difficult to work with older people.
Oh, no, I think it's just the opposite.
Really?
Oh, yes.
I want to ask you that. I never have asked you that.
I think because you can learn from them so much. I mean, look what they've experienced, and look what they've gone through, and look at Mrs. Kalish, and people like that can teach you so much. And I think our residents are so easygoing. I mean, even when I was food and beverage director, out of 350 people, I might have had maybe 5 people that really gave me a hard time, that just pushed my buttons to, like, but that was it. And then I just turned it around and focused on the good people that weren't giving me a hard time, and then I kind of forgot about the people that were giving me a hard time.
So are you saying that you're able to kind of, in a way, detach yourself emotionally by not really getting that involved with?
I think so.
Yeah.
Don't take it personally.
No.
That's what I have
see,
to do.
I see you as being so warm and fuzzy, and no, really, Sandy, I just can't get over your attitude, and it permeates the place, and that's true of everything, isn't it? If people really felt good, I think you first have to feel good about yourself.
Right.
And I'm sure you do.
Oh, always have. I've always felt positive, and and it's just, I take day by day, and what happens will happen. And sometimes you don't have too much control, so you just bounce along and learn as much as you can from people. That's my
Does
philosophy.
it bother you getting older because you're so seeing all around?
No, I mean, I turn 65 next month in a couple weeks, and I got my Social Security card. I was still not my Social Security, my Medicare card, and somebody at work said, "Oh, or Nan, my roommate said, oh, we got to take a picture of that." I said, "No way!" And then another resident just the other day said, "Oh, we got to have a party at your birthday." And I said, "Well, no, because." Well, if we have a party, it's also Suzanne Barnett's birthday on my day, and then Trudy Grossman's birthday is also on my birthday. So we'll all 3 have to celebrate.
Oh, of course.
Of course.
Of course. Tell us a recipe or formula for people that are, and this is applicable to everybody, what is the formula for staying happy in a job? Because so many people just count the days before they retire, and all those years, to me, would be wasted when we need to just savor every moment.
I think you just answered that question, is that you have to savor every moment. I mean, if I got up in the morning every day and said, "Oh my gosh, I got to go to work," it'd be miserable. Where I don't. Usually, I don't have enough time to think about it because I also have another job taking care of people's houses and their pets, and that's a full-time job. And then, of course, the forum is definitely a full-time job. So I don't have time to feel sorry for myself, and as tired as I get, I got to keep going, and I just try to be as positive as I can, and just say this is going to be a different day, and I just see the people as soon as I get there, and they're so happy to see me, and I'm happy to see them. You can't be miserable.
Do you know what I've noticed? It just came to my mind. It's you, it's Nancy, the executive director.
Right.
You guys don't just saunter along. It's like fast motion. It's not slow motion.
No.
I've never seen practically everybody that works there goes so fast.
That's true.
I mean,
we
walk
do,
so
don't we?
fast.
We do, yes. And
Is
it's
it-
the beast of the business, I think.
Is that it?
Yeah, it really is. It's just like to get, people will say, slow down, and I'm like, I am. I'm not running. I am slowed down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beast of the business, and I've always been like that. I mean, all my whole life I've been like that, through high school, through everything. I've always just go, go, go.
Okay, here I need another answer. Say a person has a job and that person doesn't like his or her job. What do they do about it?
At the forum?
No, I'm just speaking generally.
They probably need to get them out, because if they don't like their job, then they're probably making the people around them miserable too. So, and that's one thing I give Nancy so much credit for, because if somebody's not making it happen, then they're not going to be there. But if somebody's really giving them the heart, as much as they can of themselves, and their time and their patience and their hospitality, then you're going to, I'm hope we stick around for a long time. And I think that's how every general manager, every boss I've had has kind of molded us into saying you either like your job or you shouldn't be here. And I love my job, so I hope I'm around for a long time.
Okay, so what do you envision? Because you're still way too young to retire. So how long could you stay at the forum?
I'd love to spend money, so until I get my bills paid, it's going to be a while. So until they kick me out, no, I don't know. My sister, my younger sister, lives outside Truckee, and they just got a place up there in the hills, beautiful. And they want me to. They have my room there already, and they're building my own bathroom in my room, and that's where they want me to retire. And I have a girlfriend in Arizona that wants me to move there as well. But I'll probably go to my sister's, and it's going to be probably 5 years, maybe 4 or 5 years. You never know.
That's
it could
not
be longer. It could be less, but
that's not very
I just
much.
don't know. It goes fast. It really goes fast. It's unbelievable.
And the other thing that I can't get over at the forum, I have to give it a plug because I'm so, passionate about the forum, is that some of the people that look like they're on death's door, and they go down to the health center, to get treated, and they come back and they're still alive.
Oh, it's amazing.
It is, and they did a study at the forum that if you live there, you're going to live 3 years longer than if you lived
5 years.
Yeah.
I say 5 years. We had a resident, for example, she was at healthcare. The family came, I was in food and beverage, came to plan her celebration of life. She was on hospice, and they were giving her a couple weeks, maybe 3 at the most, and it turned out, and so we planned her celebration of life, the whole works. Well, a month later, she goes back to her unit in independent living, and she lived until she was 107 years old.
Wow. That
Yes.
was before my time, I guess.
No, she's just been recent. She just passed not too long, 2 years ago.
Oh, you mean Gladys?
Yeah.
She was amazing.
Amazing lady.
Yeah.
We had already planned her celebration of life, and she turns out and ends up back at independent living until she had to go back to healthcare, later on. But,
Yeah.
107
She was
years old.
amazing.
Yes,
She
amazing
was
lady.
absolutely
and there's
amazing.
people like that keep you going.
And it is inspiring.
It is very much
really
so.
is.
Yes.
And I was going to ask you another question. It just slipped my mind. Is that I don't want to say what that is.
Okay,
Yeah.
no.
So what else could you say?
Just that how much I love being where I'm at. I love the people around me. I live with a fantastic family. They've kind of adopted me for the last 7 years, and I've been growing with them. I'm Aunt Sandi to the family, and they make me part of the family. Vacations, you name it, I'm part of the family. And then I get to come to work and see all the residents, and then I get to house sit and take care of puppy dogs, and that's what I love. I just love that whole circle, complete circle.
So I think you are one of the few people in my long life that I have ever met that has attained so much happiness and success. And I consider the success with you first about what you have done for you, and then, it goes out into the planet.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I got you,
Oh, you
Sandi.
got me.
I got you. So, honey,
Thank you.
I'm
I
just
love
so
you.
happy. I love you very much.
Oh,
And I also love my crew. I always talk about my crew, but we have been together, the crew, for a really, really long time, and I appreciate them so much, and we couldn't do the show without you fabulous people. And of course, this is one of my favorite things. I love to say this, and people imitate me. I just love to say it. And I thank my audience for watching.
I love
And
it.
you know what? I can't wait to see you next time. Bye-bye.